all electrolyte and hydration mixes and drinks are not created equal. I mean, check the ingredients. They have sugar or sugar alternatives, and there's tons of added stuff. Allow me to introduce you to the best electrolyte mix, Light Balance, LYTE balance.com. It's a naked electrolyte mix, which means no preservatives, no sweeteners, no flavoring, no caffeine or gluten, and no calories. I'm always on the search for the best hydration, and I've found it. My entire family uses it, and I use it on all my runs. It solved all my hydration issues. Your body needs magnesium, potassium, and sodium, which Light Balance conveniently provides in liquid or powder form. Pure, powerful hydration. Light Balance. Go to lytebalance.com. Our guest today is actually a student at Indiana University who'll be graduating this year. He started Ironmans, his first one in 2020. He's done 3 full, 6 half, but man, he's fast. He is an Evans Scholar and an obviously an Ironman triathlete, but he qualified for Kona this past year, and you qualify by winning, either the big ones or winning your age group, which he did, man. So I'm looking forward to talking with him about that. I'm excited today to speak to Kyle Gabbard. Kyle, my man, thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So first question for you. Mr. Todd Firestone at Meridian Hills said he was shocked that you could excel at Ironman considering your first couple loops as a caddy. He said he didn't see any kind of future for you at all, man.
You didn't see it? I'm shocked. I miss Mr. Firestone. He's the man.
He said that in jest, man. He was such a big fan of yours and he was impressed. He said, "Man, hit him with that question." I said, "Yeah, absolutely, man.
Uh-huh.
It'd be fun."
Oh, so
Tell
much
us,
love for Mr. Firestone. Yeah.
yeah, he's great, man. Tell us about your experience, like, because he caddied for many years, and again, Todd Firestone's the head pro at Meridian Hills. For those that are outside of the area here, which is one of the best clubs here in Indianapolis area. But he said in all his years, I mean, you were one of the top caddies that was there, man, and that I just think that is an incredible testament to you and as a character. But talk about your experience, man, how you got into that role.
Get into caddying. I feel like my very first loop was at what's the course next to Stony Creek, that private course?
Sagamore.
Sagamore. Yeah, I caddied at Sagamore for a Youth Links event. Randomly, I just reached out to someone to see if I could caddy. Caddied there, absolutely loved it. And then I kind of was just reaching out to every golf course in the area, just seeing who had a caddy program. And Meridian Hills has probably the premier caddy program in Indiana. Maybe Crooked Stick would be up there, but personally, I would put Meridian Hills at the top. And yeah, started there, I think, in 2014 as like a 14-year-old and had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, Steve McGovern and Todd Firestone really just, it's just great life lessons. Like just getting out there all summer, getting up crack of dawn, busting over to Meridian Hills, trying to get the first loop out of there. So then maybe you could get a second loop as well. They just instill so many good life lessons that I've really carried throughout my life since I was just caddying. And same with all the members that you caddy for, you just pick up on so much stuff from everyone, a lot about work ethic and just discipline. And you kind of can see the like what factors go into success.
Yeah. Talk to us, like, go a little bit further into that because people will say life lessons, but like, what do you mean? Like, what actually instilled that you took with you from all your loops, all the bags that you carried and the relationships that you built? What were some of those lessons?
The main ones I would say were just like work ethic and the work that you do gets rewarded. Like if you put in a certain amount of effort into something, you see that effort return to you. So like me and my buddy Rich, who we both got the Evans scholarship from Meridian Hills, we spent it was like 3 summers in a row. We would be the first ones there, like Thursday through Sunday, and then we would come on Tuesday morning ladies league, and we would be there on Wednesdays for kids club. Like we just poured all of our energy into Meridian Hills, knowing that the harder we worked, the more rewards that we would reap. And like, yeah, you just, and they could see it too. Like if you put in energy into something, the energy gets returned to you, I feel like.
How many total loops do you think you've done?
That's a good question. I would say I'm probably close to probably over 400, close to 500 now.
Yeah, nice. Is there a story that sticks out to you, man, about caddying? Because I haven't caddied nearly as much as you have. I've done it at like the highest level though, so I've got
Hmm.
some stories. But do you have a story, man, that sticks out about to share?
Let me think. There's some cool ones, but the most memorable experiences I know I got to caddy at the BMW Pro-Am when they had it at Crooked Stick on the Monday, and that was cool just seeing all the grandstands set up and everything. But honestly, my favorite story from one of the summers caddying is like when you're in the caddy yard, you just build such good relationships with all your other coworkers. And I remember one of the mornings we were I'd like just gotten my driver's license, and we had like there's like 20 25 of us in the caddy yard just waiting on our loops, and me and Rich decided to go get McDonald's for everyone, and we pulled back up to Meridian Hills with like a huge bag of just like McMuffins or something, and it was it was just so fun. Like that was probably one of my favorite memories, just coming back and everyone was just chowing down on McDonald's while we waited for our loops. And I don't know, they were just great summers. It was probably the best summer job I could have asked for, just community wise. And I don't know, it was
Yeah,
some
love it,
special
man.
summers for sure.
Well, talk to us about the Evans Scholarship, man. Because I mean, if you could lay it out, because I don't think people really understand the significance of that one. But lay that one out for us, because I mean, that's a really incredible achievement.
Yeah, so what the Evans Scholarship is, it's basically tuition and a housing scholarship, full tuition, full housing. All the Big Ten schools have it, and there's a couple others that have started to add it as well. And it's for caddies, and so the requirements are, I think you have to get to 100 career loops before your senior year of high school, and then there's a lengthy application process where you have to write an essay, get a bunch of referrals from your like head pros, caddy masters, teachers, etc. And then yeah, you submit the application, and then they review all the applications, and then you have to go through a pretty serious interview process where mine was at Hillcrest Country Club just off of Benford in Indianapolis. And they just there's like it's pretty intimidating, honestly. There's like a full room of all the WGA members and like board members, and you're front and center, and they're just like rapid everyone will stand up and ask you a bunch of questions, and some are like really serious questions, and then there'll be other like lighthearted ones. So it just keeps you on your toes. And yeah, I'm very
Mhm.
honored to been given that privilege to attend Indiana University pretty much debt free.
No, it's awesome, man. Life changing, man. It's great.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it's fantastic, man. Um, well, every Evans scholar that I meet, I like, when I get to know that they are an Evans scholar, man, one of the questions I'll ask them is like, what's your next goal? Because they've got big goals, man. I mean, it's not an easy thing to get. And so, yeah, definitely impressive, man.
Appreciate it.
With that said, talk to us about like what was the first experience that you got into triathlon? Because I'm assuming you just didn't hop right into like Ironman, but
Hmm.
like what was the first experience for your triathlon, man? I mean, was it a sprint?
Uh, yeah, very first experience. It was like right at the start of COVID. I had a pretty bad ankle sprain from basketball and was like completely out of commission. And I just needed something to work towards. Like I just needed a motivating factor to get me back into shape. And I don't really know what really was the I don't know why I didn't just pick like a half marathon or something, but I went for a half Ironman. So I just signed right up for Muncie 70.3.
Yep.
and me and my dad both signed up for it, and it was supposed to be in October of 2020, and we did the Huntington sprint try was our very first one that we experienced, and that was both of our like first open water swimming experience as well, and it it was a struggle fest, that's for sure. Like having coming from no swimming background to swimming, I think it was just like 500 meters open water. It felt like
Right.
an eternity out there, and I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, right after that one, just hooked. Like that finish line feeling is just
So
special.
in 2020, did they have the Muncie half Ironman?
We did not. Yeah, I
Okay,
got
that's what I
canceled
thought. Yeah.
like maybe
Everything
three
got
or four
canceled.
weeks. Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 weeks before it got
Yep.
canceled. And then in January of 2021, it got uh Ironman Indiana became a thing. So it was like a one-time thing
That's
for a
right.
full Ironman in Indiana. And I felt like that was a sign that I kind of just had to sign up for the full since I was already halfway signed up. So me and my dad both signed up for the full in January of 2021.
And so you went from sprint to full Ironman?
We did Ben Harbor 70.3 that
Okay.
summer before the full, but there was no swim in that either. That one, the swim got canceled.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it was a
impressive, man.
lifesaver. I was not prepared to swim in Lake Michigan.
So you got hooked right away, man, because I mean that's still you're still relatively new to the whole sport, man. I mean, that's
Hmm.
to be as fast as you are. I mean, what take us back like during that time, even after like the first Ironman that you've had, and you've got a 70.3 that's underneath you, like when did you kind of look at that time and like, man, I'm actually like pretty fast, like I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, honestly, after the first full Ironman in Muncie, I think I went like 13 hours and 55 minutes, which at the point I was just trying to finish, but I don't know why I thought I would be good after finishing in just under 14 hours. But like, yeah, like the very next day after finishing, I think I could be pretty good at this. And so then, yeah, after my first full, I kind of just like dove in headfirst, got a coach, upgraded a bunch of stuff, and just doubled down on everything I had been doing.
And
But
then no, I appreciate that, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
no, you're good. I don't know what I was
Oh,
doing.
so then the next one that you had, so just under 14 hours. So um was that Louisville that was next? Was that Chattanooga?
I went, yeah, Ironman Indiana, and then the following year I just did three halves. I was
Okay.
trying to qualify for the half Ironman World Championship, and I kept PRing, but I was barely missing like the last slot to qualify for the for St. because I think it was being held in St. George that year, which I really wanted to race in St. George because it's such a cool location. But yeah, narrowly missed qualifying for 70.3 Worlds. I think that was 2022, and then switched the focus again to qualifying for Kona, and that was in Chattanooga. Yeah,
Okay. They had the swim that year?
they did. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it's more of a float down the river, but
Yeah, no, I get it, man.
it's a fast swim, which I need.
So, oh, talk to us about that experience, man, if you can. Like, you're going into that race. Did you have the expectations of, I mean, I know the goal that you wanted, but did you have the expectations like, hey, this is something I know I can do?
In the Chattanooga race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, going in the big goal was to win the age group because I knew there was only going to be one slot for my
Right.
age group 18 to 24, and so I had done a bit of stalking beforehand and found the guy that got second the previous year. Uh I was looking through his Strava and gave him a follow because I saw that he was also going for Chattanooga as well. So I knew it would mostly come down to him or I, and so it was fun to go into the race, kind of building up a little rivalry of sorts, just to like give myself like something to set on, you know.
Sure. Talk to us about like how'd that race go for you?
Yeah, I went. honestly about as perfect as it could have gone. Like leading into it, I was dealing with some IT band issues like all throughout the spring, and so I hadn't really gotten the run build that I wanted to going into it. So I was kind of just I didn't really know what like the last 10 miles were going to feel like just because I hadn't my longest run I think had been 16 miles leading into it. And so yeah, swim was really fast. The current was flowing. I think it was like 2.4 miles in 45 minutes, which at that
There you
time
go.
I was not I'm not that type of swimmer. And then it was a hundred at that time the bike course was 116 miles, and I think I biked in 505. But I could my bike fit wasn't as dialed back then, and so I was definitely having some pain like the last hour of the bike and was really losing some power, but felt great once I got out onto the run. And
What was your average like miles per hour for that one, if you remember?
I think just over 22 and some
Okay.
change.
That's moving, man.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
And then I think I was like down 5 minutes down around 5 minutes starting the run from first place. And
So you knew where he was?
yeah, I had some of my coach at the time, and then my family was giving me some call outs with where he was. And
That's some
so
spotters. Nice.
yeah, it felt like a real race. It was pretty cool. And yeah, I made it to the halfway point, and I was feeling the Chattanooga course. It's like 8 miles of relatively flat, and then there's like a 5 mile stretch where it's just a ridiculous amount of hills. And so the first 8 miles I felt great. And then right as I got through the hills, I felt like crap. But then I got another call out that I had like taken down 2 minutes off the time. So I was only 3 minutes down at the halfway point. And so that just like extremely motivating. And then I got to I think mile 17 ish, and I saw my brother, and he informed me that the guy was walking like a couple minutes ago. And then I
There you
like
go.
just flipped the switch, and I honestly got too aggressive and picked up the pace really hard for the next three
Right.
miles. And then I
Get
caught
that
him.
surge of adrenaline, man. I
Yep,
get it.
yep,
Yep.
got the pump in, and then caught him at like mile 21 ish.
Did you say
And
anything to him
then
when you passed him?
I think I gave him a pat on the back and was like,
Good.
hey, like he said I was looking strong, and I was. Let me see if I can keep these lights on. Sorry, but yeah,
You
he
good.
said,
You're good, man.
all right. He said I was looking strong, and I just congratulated him, and I said I'll catch him at the finish line. But yeah, he's been we've been following each other ever since, and it's a cool little relationship formed between us just from that race.
Love it. If you're struggling with soreness, pain, or inflammation, you need to check out Stamina Pro recovery patches. Developed for over 15 years, the clinically proven technology of Stamina Pro is free from all chemicals, all pharmaceuticals, all drugs, and it's 100% safe for athletes. I only promote products that I use myself, and Stamina Pro takes care of all my training needs, pain, and soreness. If you use the code DRB15, you get 50% off, or use the link below, Stamina Pro. So not that I pass a lot of people in my races, man, but when I do, like I love that feeling of passing somebody, telling them, man, you're looking good, you're doing a good job, rather than the opposite. Because the opposite feels so bad, right? When you're getting
Mm-hmm.
past, somebody's walking past you, hey man, looking good, and you're like, oh no, I'm not. But what did that feel like then when you won, man, when you won age group?
It like I don't know the wave of emotions. Like you just really feel like all the work that you did, like it just really feels like it was worth it. Like it's cool to like in Ironman racing, you do a ton of training and you basically get one shot at it. And so it's just cool to see it pay off like that. And yeah, I was coming into the last mile, you go over a wooden bridge, and I was like walking through the last aid station, and one of my teammates that I had passed earlier caught back up to me. And so we ran the last mile together, and there's like a hot corner that you come down before you like do the final turnaround to the finish line. And all of my coach and all of my teammates were all like around there just going crazy. And it was like that was the moment when I like really knew I was going to go to Kona, Hawaii. for the world champs. And so like I think I was smiling the entire last mile, mile and a half, could not feel my legs, and just like was floating down the finish line, giving as many high fives as I could. And then yeah, seeing all my family at the finish line was pretty overwhelming. Like it was
Yeah.
just because they pour so much into this passion of mine, and it feels like it's all of our goal, not only mine.
Right. No, it's so awesome, man, because like I don't think people quite get, I mean, unless they're doing these races, but the amount of time, the amount of intricacies, the amount of details that go into every little bit of racing for that and to have it pay off. Um,
Hmm.
Now that you've had a little bit of space from it, when you just reflect just on that race, um, what is it, man, that stands out to you, whether it be training or even that race? Is there something that stands out?
I would say just honestly, just my family. Like it, like just having them, like I had been racing a lot before that, but that was like the first time where I really like had set the goal, and like everyone knew that whole block that I had one goal. And so it felt like, I don't know, like it was all the people I were training with, my coach, all my family, all my friends. Like it felt like we were all in it together, and it was like the first time in my racing career that like, yeah, I felt like we all shared the same goal. Everyone knew what that goal was, and it wasn't just me that was working towards it. It took all of us, and it was, yeah, the one thing that stands out is just like the family side of it, and just like it was just such a cool experience. Yeah, looking back
Hmm.
on it is always fun to do. It's such a great memory.
What was if you don't mind me asking, what was your run split and then what was your final time for that one?
I ran a 3:25. Final time was, I think, 9:25.
So that's 325. That's right at what, 7 minute miles?
It was a little. It was like, I think like 7:40 maybe.
740.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's good, man. It's moving, man.
not too bad.
Yeah. In your halves, like what's the best run split that you've had there?
I ran a 1:27 at Louisville this year, which, I mean, I ran a once I have a good race, my run will be like, I'm just waiting on me to get my nutrition dialed, but I got a good run in the bag somewhere, and I'll find it eventually.
Yeah. No,
It's
that's good,
coming.
man. Again, man, a lot of things got to happen, but I've written a book, Puke and Rally, and
Hmm.
I've puked in so many of my races, man, just because the humidity and the heat would bother me so
Yep.
much. I just couldn't get that down. Um, Speaking of heat and humidity, you go to Kona, which, if people aren't familiar with that, I mean, it's on the island. Um, I always watched it as a kid, so I was always enamored with it, right? I was always fascinated by people that did that. And the heat and humidity is real out there, man. Talk to us about your experience in that race.
Yeah, it like it comes out of nowhere. Like you feel you can, because you come out of the water and it's like 9 a.m. Yeah, I think the race started at 8. Yeah. So it's like 9 a.m. You come out of the water. It's still relatively cool. There was some like cloud cover when we started the bike, and then you rip the first half of the bike and you're feeling good. And then and there's some wind, and then you turn around. And I feel like the first time I realized how hot it was on probably like mile 70 of the bike. You hit a climb, and you're climbing out of like a little town called Javi to get back on the Queen K highway. And the air was just completely still, and the sun
Hmm.
had finally came out from behind the clouds, and it felt like maybe it was like 120 degrees. It was probably
Yeah.
like 80 maybe, but that was the first moment where I really felt that I was baking. And then after that, I was in kind of panic mode trying to get as much fluids down, which in
Right.
hindsight didn't help either. Probably made
No, man,
it,
I get
it
it,
worse
man.
on my stomach.
But
It
mile
was
70 of the bike, you're on the Queen K and it hits you, and it's like, okay, now this is real, man.
yeah. Now we got another 4+ hours out in the sun.
How were you on the run and then especially coming across like the energy lab?
Yeah, it was honestly on the run. It was the most hot right at the start, like in Palani, like when you're right on the coast. Uh, just because like I don't know why it felt the most hot there, but the air just felt so heavy. Like it was palpable, like how like the humidity, and it felt impossible to breathe, and my heart rate would not come down to where I wanted it to be. Yeah, by the time I got to the energy lab, like right at the start of the turn into the energy lab, is I threw up uh like 4 different times and
Oh,
just
you did?
completely, yep,
My man.
complete, completely emptied, yeah, everything that I had just been.
How good do you feel like right after you puke?
That's I and I was just my buddy's editing my race recap for Kona for the YouTube, and yeah, I think I say that was like the best I felt on the run was the last 2 miles and like the 10 minutes after I puked. I was like, oh, this is how I thought I was going to feel the whole run.
Right.
And then the all the nutrition I just threw up catches up, and then I feel like crap again.
Yeah. Now, did you I mean, were you dehydrated though at that point?
I don't think I was dehydrated. I think I was taking in too many carbs,
Yeah.
and my I just wasn't absorbing them, and they were just sitting in
Just
my
sitting
stomach.
there. Yeah.
Yep, not
Yeah.
getting absorbed.
Because I say it's different, man. Like if you're gonna puke but you're hydrated, like you're gonna be okay. If you puke and
Hmm.
dehydrated, like you were in big trouble, man.
It's yeah. That's in the first time I did the Chattanooga half. I had no idea nutrition wise what I was doing, and the last mile I puked, and then I ended up finishing and then collapsing at the finish line and just blacking out. And then they had to like wheelchair me into the med tent to get an IV.
You got an IV,
But
man?
yeah, I got an IV
Oh, dude,
at
that's so cool,
Chattanooga
man.
half. It was awesome. Yeah, I
Oh,
felt so good
I
after
know, man.
it.
I try, Kyle, to get an IV at the end of races. Like,
They don't get you one?
oh, bud, you have to be. I mean, you know, if you wait there long enough, but they want you to go through all these steps and like, man, just give me the
Uh-huh.
IV because I know how good it's gonna make me feel.
Yep.
And I've just kind of got done like waiting for it,
Yeah,
you know. But
my legs wouldn't move. I was like laying down right after the finish line, and like the quads were just seizing.
oh
So
man,
that was my only option, was to get wheelchaired to the IV tent.
man, I'm so glad I got to talk to another puke and rally brother, man. This is great, bud.
Yes, sir.
I love this, man.
It's rare, but because I don't puke in any workouts either. It's just been Kona and it's been Chattanooga half. That's
Yeah.
my only two pukes in races, I guess.
But this is the other part, man. If it's like if that happens later on, you get better at it. You know what I mean? So it's like
Hmm.
when it happens in another race, who knows, man? You might be winning ultras one day, and it's like you kind of know where you're at and how to adjust to it. If you've
Hmm.
never done it and you puke for the first time in a big race, you know, it can get a little bit kind of freaky. But yeah, you
Yep.
got that experience, man. It's awesome, dude.
All
What
part of the
is
game.
so I mean, it was a hinge moment for you qualifying for Kona and then being able to race that. When you kind of reflect, like, what's one of the toughest workouts that you had that maybe at the time it wasn't like that really prepped me, but I always feel that there are these workouts that's like, hey man, if I can do that, I know I can reach my goals. Is there one that you kind of reflect on?
I was thinking about this the last couple of days. I think like one of the times I look back on is I went on a backpacking trip to Denali, Alaska with a couple of my buddies. And I've had a lot of tough workouts, but in Denali National Park, they don't have any trails. And so you're just bushwhacking.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most mentally exhausting and just like demanding, just like experience I've ever had. So I feel like in a lot of races and a lot of workouts, I look back at that backpacking experience with my buddies. And I'm like, if I could just keep hiking that day, I can finish this 4x4 VO2 max, whatever I got today. Like this is nothing compared to bushwhacking in Alaska.
Yeah, right, man. What was the elevation there?
I think it varied. Like we would when we would be down by like the rivers, I think it was around 3K, and we would get up to maybe 6,500, 7K at
Okay.
the peaks of some of the ridge lines.
But that's one of the moments you draw back from is the strength you had from that one.
Yeah, because there's no trails, so we were just like, and we had no option either. Just like since there's no trails, you kind of just have to hike your way out of the wilderness to get some food and whatnot. And so yeah, we were on day 3, and our food was dwindling, and we had to make it back to. There's only one road in Denali, so we just had to make it back to the road. And yeah, we're just hiking through shrubs that felt so thick and impossible to make through. And it's just we got one foot in front of the other, head down, go to work.
Yeah. I mean, you must have had a teamwork option there as well, right?
Yeah, it was. We would trade off who was leading. That's another thing about just like training with other people or just hiking with other people. Like you just trade off who's in the front, and all the other people have to do is just follow whoever's leading. Like you can kind of just shut off your brain and just again just put your head down and work.
Yeah. And what is when it comes I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's a good one. When you think about like racing, like what is your favorite part of racing?
Easy answer is just biking. I I love biking so much. So every time I finish a swim, which is my least favorite part, it's always fun to strap on the shoes and get to put the power down. But I would say, especially in Ironman racing, I think it's just the camaraderie between all the people racing. Like it's just I have a couple stories from the Ironmans that I've done where you just make friends in the suffering. Like you're all just suffering together, and it's such a formative experience for everyone doing it that like it's just like you can only share that suffering with people that are also suffering with you. So
Right.
it's easy to make friends while you're out there.
What's one of the stories that stick out to you, man?
The most recent one in Kona, coming out of the energy lab, I was in the dumps, and I saw another guy in my age group that was also struggling. He was walking, and I was like starting to try and motivate other people to try and hold myself accountable. And I told him, I was like, let's run for 4 minutes and walk for one. And he's like, let's do it. And started following me. And we ran for 4, walked for one. And then we're like, all right, let's run to the next aid station, walk to the aid station, ran to the next aid station, walk to the aid station. And then we just started like feeding off each other's energies. And we're just like kept increasing our pace. And he was from France. And it was just, yeah, it was a cool little brotherhood we
It's
shared
very
for
cool.
about 10K out on the Queen K. Just, yeah, just sharing the suffering together. And just, yeah, we both had gone into the race with like such high hopes. And both of us in that moment were like disappointed with how we were doing. But I mean, you're in Hawaii racing in the Ironman World Championship. So, like, you can only be so
Hmm.
disappointed. You got to be appreciative of it.
Yeah. I think that is one thing that, and don't take this the wrong way, right? But I'm gonna say middle of the pack or age groupers, right? Because I know you have goals that are coming up, but you kind of like if you're at the elite level, like you're not, you don't have that anymore, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
are in, and then there is the collaboration and people can kind of work on one another, but not as often as it might happen impromptu right there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
and that's happened in all my races, man. That's what I think the real benefit of being a age grouper is, man. There's a lot of power in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just, yeah, sharing experiences with anyone is kind of what life's all about. Like, you can't just do it all alone.
What what are your goals when it comes to Ironman and racing?
This year, my main goal, my main focus right now is Ironman Texas, which is coming up April 26th. I'm planning to qualify for the World Champs, which will be in France this year at Texas. And then I'm hoping that this will be my last year of amateur racing. I'm hoping to qualify for my pro card either in Texas, or I'm gonna either do Muncie 70.3 or Boulder in
And is that just
July.
like a time? Is that a time standard you have to hit?
It depends. There's a couple different avenues you can go down. If I finish top three amateur in Texas, I'd automatically qualify for it. Or it's like each race gets like a graded racing score
Okay.
based on the field and like the top guys. And so you just have to hit the threshold, I think twice in a calendar year. So we'll see what avenue I want to take. But if I do well enough in Texas, I should auto qualify for the card.
What's the big goal for you then down the
I
road?
down the road, like I'd I'd love to get back to Kona to compete as a professional. Like I'm not sure how feasible that is, but racing it once as an amateur is so special, and I know qualifying as a professional brings a lot more challenges, but and like the sport is keeps raising its level, so I know it'll be pretty tricky to get back there as a pro, but I think it's a good goal.
Yeah. I'm always amazed, man, at at the end of the at the end of these swims in those conditions in that heat, and they're still running sub 2:45 marathons, man. I mean, dude, that's
I
flying,
don't get
man.
it. They're crazy. Yeah. Patrick Longa's a freak. And I feel like that was, I mean, he ran it unchallenged this year too. Like if someone was on his heel, I'm sure he had another 10 seconds per mile in the tank with how
Didn't he
much he
didn't
was
he set a record
jumping
too?
around. I don't think because Gustav I think he ran a 2:35 in 2022. I
Okay.
think Patrick ran like a 2:37, maybe 2:38. But
I didn't know
yeah,
if overall, I wasn't sure overall if
I
he
think
set that
he
record.
set the course record, not the run
Okay.
course record. Yeah, because
That's
he
impressive,
biked
man.
like a 4:05, which which is insane.
Well, 405, how many miles per hour is that, just so we know?
I think it's probably like close to 27 and a half, maybe a little over that.
So it's averaging that for 112 miles, man.
Yep,
That's
with
flying,
like
dude.
5,000 feet of elevation and all
And
the
yeah.
crosswinds and the heat,
And then running a
and
237.
then running a 2:37,
Yep.
which with no shade.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
yeah, it's the level the sport's got to is quite insane.
no, it's great, man. I'm glad, man, I got you on the podcast now before you turn pro, because then once you get pro and you're top 10 in these races, man, then you're gonna be a lot of podcasts. So I'm thankful to be the inaugural one here, man.
I appreciate it. This has been fun.
Hey, what questions should I be asking, man, that I've just kind of forgotten to ask or I haven't asked?
Mm, I would say like motivating factors, like every day as like I feel like in all endurance sports, you're doing basically the same idea every day. And so like there's a lot of like motivation comes and goes, and it's kind of hard to keep yourself accountable and actually be hitting what you should be hitting every day. And so I feel like it's cool to know different athletes like motivating factors and how they continue to just do the same thing every day.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you take with you in terms of like the discipline, the motivation? Like what are some of the things that you lean on to help you during those, difficult times?
Yeah. I lean on again just bringing it back to my family, like just having the support that I do and all my friends. Like it's cool that everyone knows my goals and and keeps me accountable. Like if they can see I'm slipping or not giving what I should be in workouts, they'll make comments, and it kind of checks myself. And also I feel like with the level of discipline that I strive to be at, like it takes a lot of self-checking. Like you have to really be able to look at yourself from an outside perspective and not, you kind of got to detach from your ego a bit and really analyze if you're doing the work that you need to be doing, because like the brain doesn't want to work hard all the time. Like,
Right.
so you could be tricking yourself into giving less than what you got just because your brain wants to be comfortable. So it's just about every day pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, because that's the only way you'll ever grow.
And when you get in the in the cycles of your training, like, do you like, I'm just gonna push myself just a little bit more on this. Like, I'm just gonna try and get like, you know, uh, 2 clicks faster. Like, what is it that you kind of do to help? Like, hey man, I know I got better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fine line sometimes when you're really getting into the high volume, because you want to be able to get quality work in every day. And like when you're pushing the big hours each week, if you push yourself too hard in one session, it could negatively impact the next day's session. So you just have to, it takes a lot of understanding your body. I think communication with your coach and with yourself if you're pushing it too hard. And I think taking rest is important. And a lot of people, I think, push the easy sessions too hard. I'm a big keep the easy really easy
Yeah,
guy,
absolutely, man.
just because I think it just, because you're not going to win anything pushing an easy session harder than you should. But if you have enough energy to push those VO2 max sessions, the threshold sessions a little harder, I think that's where the gains come from.
Love it, man. Let me ask you a question. You tell me where you kind of fall in this take, okay? Um, because there's always a point, like in every one of our podcast episodes, that we kind of title it, right? So this might be like, hey, don't push the easy sessions or something, but
Mm-hmm.
because it makes sense, right? It's like, yeah, man, like we're going out for an easy run. You got to make it an easy run because if you push this, then when you're doing the speed work, it's not going to be as effective, man, because you've
Mm-hmm.
already gassed yourself. So let me ask you this question. I think it's difficult to overtrain. What I'm about to say is I don't think we overtrain. I think we under recover. Where do you kind of fall in that paradigm?
I think it's 100, yeah, 100%. I don't, I think I feel like I'm stumbling, but a lot of today's top triathletes, I think, are proving it, like that you can work out way more than what we have previously thought. You can push like your threshold VO2 max speed work way more than we previously thought. And you just have to absolutely hone in on the recovery, because a lot of people they're just pushing everything nowadays, like pushing how many carbs you can intake per hour. Like all the Norwegians are training like 35 to 40 hours plus a week and seeing results that no one's ever seen before because they're doing all that work. And they're just, and they, like, all you have to do is just eat right, get enough sleep. And yeah, I just think keeping the easy sessions easy, because you're not going to get to high volume if you're just pushing every session. Like a
Right.
lot of the sessions have to be low zone two, easy aerobic base work, just to be able to sustain and keep the body healthy. A lot of mobility work too. I've been learning. You gotta work on the hip mobility. That's my big secret in keeping healthy and running, for me at least, is just
Share with this, man. So what's like one of the mobility stretches you like, man? I'm learning from you here.
I'm a big clamshell guy. I love
Okay.
the
With the band.
flex band clamshell.
Yep.
Yeah, I love I love a good side plank. Some side
Good.
plank. Yeah, any band work with the hips, I feel like is huge, because all like a ton of knee problems arise just from weak glutes.
Right.
So gotta
Yeah,
hammer
man.
those glutes.
Oh, I love it, man. It's all connected, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. The
Yeah.
body's one.
With ultra running, man, like I'll even do a lot of like balance work, because
Mm-hmm.
I'll notice like my right leg isn't as balanced, but like if I'm standing on that and doing some RDL stuff like that, one leg, start moving a little bit, right? I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
when you're running 100 miles, man, like there's uneven surfaces. That balance work's
Yep.
important, man.
And it'll come out in 100 miles. Like the parts you haven't been hitting definitely will appear.
It all gets exposed, man, at some point,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Let me
In
ask
those
you this one
long
question.
races.
Talk to us about like, so what do you think the mental toughness is? Like, what's your mental toughness? Like, what do you think your main strength is when it comes to the mental game?
I think I've came to a point where I enjoy my mental side being tested. Like in those hard workouts, in races, like you always get to that point where your brain wants you to stop. Like obviously the brain wants the hurt to stop because it hurts. But I've started to get to those points, and in those moments, like I almost have a conversation with myself where I can like think back to a time when I was clear minded and not hurting. And I was like, and you can make the decision there. And then when you're in the moment of hurt, you can go back to the clear minded state and be like, this is what you want. Like, this is what you enjoy. And so, and then it's like a fun little battle in your head to keep pushing. And I don't know, it's turned fun. Like I enjoy workouts more if I have to have a mental battle to push it.
Oh, I love it, man. The only thing, and I love that conversation. I totally get it, man. So those
Mm-hmm.
endurance athletes, I think we all get it, right? We have that conversation, that voice in our head. The part that I've always gotten back to, man, is like I need to set a short-term goal. Like you just got to make it to that tree.
Mm-hmm.
You make it to the tree. All right, man, just make it to that mailbox. Like I'm always setting those short-term goals. But then my mind started playing this game where it was like, at least I'm not back at that tree. Like I started
Mm-hmm.
thinking like I needed a little boost. So I'm setting these short-term goals. But dude, at least you're not at the bottom of that hill. And
Yep.
that would always, I'd always, for some reason, man, that would start kicking in my head, right? Hey, man, at least you're not 3 miles back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
was my
fun.
trick, man.
Mental games are so enjoyable, and it's crazy what you can come up with in the depths of your brain during the most painful moments.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Kyle, man, I really enjoyed this conversation, bud. And yeah, thank you so much, man, for coming on and taking the time, man.
I appreciate you having me. This has been such a privilege. I appreciate it.